Look, I've made a lot of mistakes over the years in crypto, but I refuse to give my money to somebody that's literally gotten into a screaming match with BitBoy Crypto over who is the biggest grifter. And imagine my surprise when I heard this week that he was launching another token to grift even harder. I'm talking about none other than Pond0x on crypto Twitter. I'm sure a lot of you have already heard of Pond0x, but let's dive into what it is, what it isn't, and my take on whether or not I believe it's a scam. Now, for those of you that have no idea who Pond0x is, he's a crypto Twitter influencer with over 150,000 followers. This guy created a parody NFT collection of the original CryptoPunks on Ethereum. And from there, he's been a part of several other influential NFTs, and most recently, he's attached his name to Pepe, by far the largest meme coin of this year. And I want to give a fair shake to the guy and his new project, Pond0x, and so I dug into some threads on Twitter that showcase exactly how this system works. And I found some really good ones, but I want to share this one with you specifically from Guru on Twitter. And it reads, new insights into the Pond0x token have emerged that highlight the inner workings of Pond0x.com as a Pepe LP farm. The process is akin to farming Pepe. When you deposit ETH into the website, you're issued an ID, a unique identifier representing your specific allocation. You're also issued a score which represents your potential mining rewards and influences the amount of the reward Pepe you can claim. Improving your score is possible via the bribe for level up smart contract function. There are 10 levels, each requiring an input of 0.26 ETH. Okay, before I go any further, I just want to say that regardless of what you call something doesn't make it so. So just to put the label of mining doesn't make it so. This is not mining. You are not mining anything. There's no computation going on behind the scenes. Your CPU or GPU are not doing anything with the smart contract itself. And so to classify this as mining is literally just a term that's being thrown around very loosely. On top of that, this thing about levels and there being 10 levels and each require 0.26 ETH, that would mean that people would have to put up $5,000 in order to reach the highest level, which the majority of people in the crypto space do not have to put on meme coins like this. Okay, let's dig back into it. Each successful level up action multiplies your rewards. Each usage of the bribe for level up function with 0.26 ETH payment leads to the contract purchasing Pepe with WETH, wrapped ETH, continually supporting Pepe's value. What about Pond0x? Is it worth anything? It appears to lack intrinsic value. This design choice may have been implemented to avoid legal issues. Too long didn't read. Minting Pond0x through Pond0x.com is equivalent to participating in LP farming for Pepe. Cool. So now that we have that out of the way, that's the bigger picture, right? What they're trying to achieve here is create farming for the Pepe LP. Awesome. It's got levels. You can level up by spending more money if you so choose. Pond0x has made it very clear that you are not required to spend any money on this. It is absolutely your choice. But by saying things like that on his Twitter page and using terms like freedom of movement and freedom of thought, it just puts off vibes of like Richard Hart and the whole Hex scene. And that's another complete scam that I've done extensive research on and made videos about that I don't want to dive into, but you know, these types of people do the same types of things. Borovic, who is also another big influencer on Twitter, put out a tweet saying Poly just launched his token, and it shows off the chart of what it was when it first launched and how far it dropped. It literally went to basically zero in a matter of hours, even though it started at close to 2 cents per token. If you go into the comments of the original post that Poly did on Twitter, you'll see that some people said, I put $50,000 and now it's worth $10. That's nothing. I just aped $2.5 million and it's 15 cents. You'll also scroll down and see things like scammer. Somebody even said, you're completely antithetical to the principles of blockchain and cryptocurrency. How many people just lost money because of this nonsense? Shame on you, and I feel for the victims. He's enjoying himself in the Bahamas on people's money. So let's dig into the contract itself, because Polly put out a tweet after a bunch of people started claiming that their tokens had been taken out of their wallets. He put out a tweet saying, "No one stole your tokens, LOL. The contract is literally designed as such." And then ZachXBT, who is a huge crypto sleuth, said, "What?" And Polly responded, "It's pretty straightforward. Are you confused about it?" So let's dive into a tweet thread that I found about the actual contract itself. I took a look at the contract as well, just to see what was going on, and I came to the same conclusion, but somebody already wrote a thread about it, so I thought I'd use what they wrote, SM Stack on Twitter. I also confirmed this with a Solidity developer friend of mine, and so I will show that to you guys here in a minute as well. But let's read what SM Stack wrote. Pond0x used SoLady's ERC20 contract as their base implementation, as you can see in the below link. SoLady is one of the best open source code bases, especially in saving gas. However, Pond0x does not include the most important thing in SoLady ERC20. In SoLady, functions that send tokens from one to another is implemented without an approval check. Instead, they have before token transfer, where people implement allowance checks so that the transfer can be accomplished in a safe way. In other words, all contracts who inherit SoLady ERC20 must implement before token transfer to check allowances before transfers happen. However, Pond0x did not implement it. I wrote a Foundry test code to check it, and the result was as I expected. The dev of Pond0x implemented before token transfer so that anyone can take Pond0x from people without restrictions. I think they meant to write the dev of Pond0x didn't implement before token transfer. They go on to say, I just implemented before token transfer in a modified code and all worked well as normal ERC20. So their conclusion was, do not trust anybody. Influence does not ensure reliability. And if you can read Solidity, check the codes before you interact with something new. This is excellent advice. And for people that can actually read Solidity smart contracts, yes, absolutely. But the vast majority of people can't read Solidity smart contracts. So I reached out to a buddy of mine, Ed, that is a Solidity smart contract developer, and I said, hey man, I don't want you to go out of your way for this, but could you confirm this to be true about the ERC20 contracts? I'm pretty sure they read it right, but I wanted to ask someone with more experience. Like I said, I read it as well, and I came to the same conclusion, but I wanted more expertise on this. He said that's pretty basic and obviously not anything anyone should have put a dime into. It says all the rules in the contract. Yes, it's insanely simple and obviously flawed. Even someone who watched a couple of YouTube videos about smart contracts should be able to realize this is not requiring anything from anyone. It's basically unownable, meaning that anybody can go into anyone else's wallets and take those tokens away from them. So if you were to go and purchase these on an exchange like Uniswap, where it was listed before it was rug pulled by whoever created that LP, those tokens that you purchased could just be taken by anyone on the blockchain, and there is no repercussions. That's what he means by unownable, because you don't actually own it. Nobody does. Another thing that I wanted to point out that others have found, and I verified on Twitter myself and Etherscan, was that 7 Ethereum wallets were able to go in and interact with the contract before Polly even made it live on his Twitter account, showing people what the website was and what the contract address was. And then on top of that, the majority of those wallets that did that made an absolute killing off of their investment. The first quote-unquote minter was this address right here that ends in 9988. They minted 55 minutes before Polly shared the website and contract, and they minted using 6 ETH worth of PNDX before anyone else and sold it for 382 ETH shortly after the launch. That's 700K in profit. Next up, we have DBFD that minted 30 minutes prior to the announcement with 15 ETH and sold for 445 ETH for 800K in profit. The third minter, 38AF, didn't mint as much, but still made an absolute killing based off of their initial investment. They minted with 4.5 ETH and sold for 33 ETH, and so on and so forth. Not all of these early minters sold their entire stack, but that's besides the point. The point is, there were people out there that had access to the minting function, the contract, before anybody else in the public. And that's led some people to question whether or not these were insiders that are close to Polly. Let's take a look at the Pond0x website and check out the docs. Pond0x 101. Okay, mine Pond, earn pepe. Here's the smart contract address. Here's how it works. There's a total of 420 trillion 690 billion Pond0x that can ever be mined. And that's it. That's literally all of the documentation. You can go into the terms of use and look. And there is somebody in one of these tweet threads that came to the defense of Pond0x with the terms of use, saying interacting with the Pond0x smart contracts and the mining smart contracts does not require the use of the interface, but the interface is only a convenient and user-friendly option. They were basically pointing out that there were people out there that could have found the contract and interacted with it without the UI. And yes, that is a possibility, but that is such a slim chance of somebody finding it and saying, hey, what's this? Let me interact with it and give it all this ETH. That just doesn't make sense. Now let's look at a message that Polly posted on his Twitter account 7 hours ago as a message to those that are complaining about the fact that they lost thousands and thousands of dollars. So not only has this guy directly or indirectly, however you look at it, rugged his community, he's now laughing at the people that he rugged and rubbing it in their face. I really don't understand how anybody could have put money into something like this from a guy that acts this way. But here we are. It's 2023 and this is crypto now. On top of making fun of his investors that actually took the time to purchase his token, he's also gone as far as to show off and flex his Gnosis multi-sig wallet that has over $9 million of ETH and pepe in it. It's almost like he's begging the IRS to start an investigation. But somehow, we've still got guys like this, Verstect, saying if you see people posting this chart with their hot take on how Poly0x rugged Pond0x, block them. They can't read code and cannot be trusted. They have zero technical ability and have IQ of 11. This was the point. Anyone who can read code knew not to buy through Uniswap. Every influencer under the sun needs to be outed for LARPing. Stop listening to people lying that they understand how code works. None of them do. They just regurgitate the stuff they hear and pretend it's all make-believe. These people want your money and want you dumb. Stop and think about it for a second, especially if you went to Uniswap and purchased Pond0x. You need to get on YouTube and start learning. Don't get all emotional and cry that you lost money. Just learn. I did, and I didn't buy through Uniswap. Imagine that. This kind of goes back to a point that I made earlier. Most people in crypto are not developers, and they don't have time to become developers or learn how to code. So to create a smart contract that intentionally rugs your community, is not only unethical, it's probably illegal. I'm sure there was some law in this that was broken, and it'll be up to lawyers out there to decide whether or not he needs to be charged for any crimes committed. Only an insane, diabolical person would make a smart contract used to take money from defenseless people that don't know how to read code. And you can defend him all you want and say, yeah, he said on his Twitter account, go to the website to purchase. But he didn't specifically say, don't purchase it on Uniswap. And that's the big factor here. So those that purchased on Uniswap will not be getting any of the pepe airdrops like those that did purchase on the website. Meaning that if you purchased on Uniswap and you either had those tokens taken out of your wallet through a mechanism of the smart contract itself, or you held them and the token price went to almost zero, then either way, you lost all of the money that you put into it with ETH. What does that say about Poly? How could somebody just be completely okay with their community getting rugged? He had to have known that somebody out there was going to make an LP for this. And he can say that it wasn't him. That's totally fine. I'm not claiming that he was the one that created the LP. But either way, it's unacceptable behavior. Because of all of this, I am going to go out on a limb here and say that this is a very intricate scam. Poly knew exactly what he was doing whenever he developed this. He knew what he was taking out of the code in order for people to be able to steal funds from others. He also probably imagined that somebody out there would create an LP for this on Uniswap outside of the one that he created for the contract itself. And he also probably imagined that people would purchase from that LP. And those that did would basically be rugged. And you can say that this is an attention to detail issue here. People weren't paying attention. That's totally fine. But when you have a market that is driven a lot off of hype, and people see that others are purchasing into this token, and you see a contract address that's available on the founder's tweet that he put out about the token, what's the first thing that most of these crypto investors are going to do? They're going to go to DEX Screener, DEX Tools, and Uniswap with that contract address and see if they can purchase it, so they can get a slice of the pie. And that's exactly what happened here. So Poly can say whatever he wants, that he gave people enough information to make smart decisions, but I don't think that he did. And if he's taken to court over this, I don't think a judge will side with him either. Look, I'm sure there are going to be a ton of you out there that completely disagree with what I'm saying in this video, and you have every right to do so. But if you would, leave me a comment in the comments section as to why I'm wrong, based on the facts that I've presented in this video. If you enjoyed this video, though, please be sure to hit that like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do that because it really helps my channel grow. That's going to be it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. Crypto Clay, out.